Alrighty. It is June 2nd, 2026, 5:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Going to be Director Brian Knight, San Andreas State Marshals, call sign 0495. Across from me is Eliza Stellano. Ms. Stellano, I'm going to go ahead and read you your rights at this time. At this time, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say or do will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you by the state if one is available. As I understand, do you understand your rights as they've been read to you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. We have requested a attorney, both Paul Hammerstein and Robin Ferreira. That request was made about 18 minutes ago, and no response. Would you like to continue this conversation without a attorney present?
I feel comfortable doing so, yes.
Okay. Eliza, are you aware of the charges levied against you on the docket?
Would you do me the kindness of reminding me, please?
Yes, absolutely. Give me just 1 second. The charges are as follows. It's going to be one-time treason, one-time stockpiling of a firearm ammunition, one-time weapons manufacturing, accessory, one-time weapons trafficking, accessory, one-time trafficking, accessory, 21 times possession of a firearm class 2, 19 times possession of a firearm class 1, one-time criminal possession of government-issued less lethal equipment, one-time first-degree possession of pharmaceutical drug without a authorization, oxy, one-time first-degree possession of Scheduled 1 drug, bag of spice, one-time possession of explosive, one-time third-degree possession of Schedule 2 drug marijuana, one-time possession of security firm equipment, 2 times possession of illegal blueprints, one-time attempted mass murder of a government employee accomplice, one-time possession of a firearm class 2, one-time possession of a firearm class 1, one-time possession of illegal ammunition, one-time possession of scheduled drug, bag of spice, one-time escaping custody. And of course, these are the preliminary charges.
Oh, that was all?
What do you think I missed?
Also, I have to say, that does seem like quite an extensive list, though I know not where these charges are levied from.
Okay. Multi-week-long investigation, leading to said set of charges.
Surely you were jesting when you said this was about not getting invited to jousting, yes?
It was.
Because I will let you know, if it was under my own purview, you absolutely would be, and I mean, it's very much in your name.
What do you mean?
I mean, Brian Knight. In the very same way of the Anglo-Saxon naming conventions, usually the surname was that of the role or title one held. Baker, Smith, Knight. Not to put nominal determinism on you, but you would be well suited with such a last name. And I suppose such a vocation that you hold.
I think ultimately I came out on top in that jousting competition.
I don't recall you competing, unless I completely missed something. Would not have been doing my due diligence as the announcer if I missed you winning something so illustrious.
I'm referring to the raid.
Ah, well, I suppose I do not see that as part of the... Oh, I'll let you answer that if you need.
No, please go ahead.
Well, I imagine you're very much in demand, so do not let me distract you with my pithy conversations about medieval gamery.
Why did you partake in why did you partake in the day of the raid? You were found opening fire on law enforcement. Why?
Is that so?
Mm-hmm.
That is a very good question. I'll have to say my memory is a bit lacking of that day, as I generally abhor violence.
When did that change? Because surely it was prior to that. I have vague memories of a bit of a speech that was taking place before you began to open fire on Flores.
I remember that there were... Oh, what was it? Day of the raid, you're saying?
No, that was about a week and a half prior to that.
Well, I will admit that I have been put in positions of having to defend myself when, members of the Faceless, which I'm certain you are more than well acquainted with, had attacked our community. And, well, sometimes you are put in a difficult position where simply ducking your head under a trailer is not sufficient enough to attempt to protect your own life.
But where did life come into play in that instance? Because
when we were being bombed by the Faceless and fired upon?
No. I mean, in relation to not just the raid, but the day there was a massive shootout at New Babylon, and you had a revolver and you began to open fire on downed bodies. Did you remember what day I'm referring to?
Is this in regards to... Are you speaking about February 18th?
No, it was after that.
Because I remember on February 18th, there was an attempt at a raid where a group of officers started firing on some of us community members. And I'll be honest, at the time, I didn't even realize that they were law enforcement officers. I've become all too accustomed to being used as target practice by state-sanctioned terrorist groups. And then having members of your very own department, like Lydia Vale, brag about being the Babylonian Butcher, well, that certainly puts us in a difficult position, doesn't it?
Not
in
when
that
she
situation
was...
when I don't know where or from whom the gunfire is coming from, am I supposed to stand there and idly take it like a good civilian?
No, I don't think so. I also think there was plenty of opportunity for y'all to hear out her side of things.
When she started shooting at us from a tower, when we were in the middle of a town hall meeting, I mean, I think you and I have had plenty of discussions, as I have had discussions with other members of your department. I am one of the few Babylonians that prefers to solve things with a conversation. So I think you and I both know that given the opportunity, I would have very much have liked to have heard what she had to say. But everything I heard that she said afterward was unmitigated bloodlust, which is startling, to say the least. Especially knowing how well regarded you are. And one of the few people that actually knows how to do their job. That there would be someone in your department that would behave and comport themselves in such a manner. Surprising to me, really.
I think it'd be less surprising if you were made aware that very same week she was reprimanded for not just her statements in court, but the behavior she showed. Not a single marshal should have been at that place, which is why there was only two. They couldn't get to the other two in time. The moment I realized who was involved in that situation, they were pulled off. There was 8 of us on duty. And while her statements are regrettable, and she has said as much, both before and after the reprehension or the reprimand she received, she attempted to reach out on multiple occasions. However, to deaf ears.
Well, not that I shouldn't be
As
so
for the other
pompous
dumb
and
fuck,
audacious to say that I'm the only one that people should speak to, but I never heard from her.
she tried to call you 3 separate times. I know that because I was standing next to her.
I can say with
I
full
myself
truth and
called a number
knowledge.
of times myself.
Well, I can most solidly assure you that if I noticed that I was receiving a call, I would have answered it.
I believe you, Eliza. I know we've had good conversations in the past, and you've been generally a pacifist. I think that's why I find it so concerning things sort of changed. And don't get me wrong, what happened on February 18th, I believe it was disgusting and despicable. When looked at through the lens of what occurred, it was unbecoming of law enforcement. However, it doesn't necessarily justify all the actions that took place after that date. Let me ask you something, Eliza. Do you know, how aware are you of, how well versed are you with the history of nations?
Not as well as I ought to be.
Oftentimes, leaders will use travesties as a way to garner their population, to focus them towards a common enemy. And oftentimes, the evidence that they put forward is enough to garner the masses in support.
Galvanizing people to action, essentially, yes.
As much of a travesty as February the 18th was on the other end of the spectrum, I had to be witness to civilians, uninvolved, being shot down over and over and over again. Snow, I'll text you back.
Roger.
With sniper fire from muskets. It wasn't the joust, right, that changed things. It was witnessing a body on the ground about a mile away from New Babylon's gates, being shot down on the ground, and subsequently an officer who came to give them aid also being shot down. An incident days prior to that where law enforcement responded to a call outside the gates of New Babylon and were shot at. I'm not talking directly outside the gates. I'm talking about all the way down over on Joshua Road, right before the dirt path to Sandy Medical. Now, I don't blame you specifically for this, but things began to heavily escalate, very quickly devolve into a them versus us. And when every leader decides that there is no room to talk, things begin to boil over, as I think they have.
I'll have to say this is distressing to hear. I'd like to assure you that no Babylonian would do that, or any member of the community.
They did. We watched them actively standing on top of the trade day building with their muskets opening fire. And in fact, the day we pushed in, the day law enforcement was shot down, was the day we came there to stop the shooting between the Besties and New Babylon. Oddly enough, the Besties managed to decide to fuck off. But before we even got to that point, we were met by a drone that was coupled with a bomb. A drone that came from within the gates of New Babylon. Now, I'm sure you're not too interested in a conversation where playing a bit of tit for tat, we did this and you did that. I don't think that's going to get us anywhere. But
of course not. From what I recall, officers stood idly by and watched as cargo bobs dropped cars with bombs attached to them. There's even a newspaper article, if I recall correctly, of members of the Besties speaking directly to members of the BCSO while this was actively happening. No, I don't think you all did anything. Well, not you specifically, of course. I'm not going to put the onus on you, but I think it would be foolish of either of us to deny that whatever you were hoping to gain from it, you benefited nonetheless from the Besties doing that. If there was any attempt to intercede, well, it was incredibly flimsy at that.
it was flimsy. We didn't have many units that day. And you have to understand, when we're met between a group of 30 against one of the most notorious gangs in the city that can very quickly decimate us, action is not necessarily easy. I can't really speak to the events that led up pre-drone bomb, because that's around the time that I showed up, trying to assess the situation or whatever the fuck was going on down there. I can assure you that I made very direct commands to deal with the cargo bob, which we were unable to get a hold of. While I can certainly apologize for not having the resources to deal with it quicker, ultimately it became a choice of what the higher priority was. And I'm sure at some level you understand, when I witness a drone bomb being dropped on a law enforcement officer, it makes it a easy choice.
That is alarming to hear, nor do I... When I make these statements, it is not pointedly against you solely, Director Knight.
I understand. Look, I can assure you there's plenty of members of law enforcement who... I am not... while I may be the face for my department, understand that there are sheriffs and deputies and officers who have a very similar way of doing things. But when there is chaos, it makes it very difficult to know exactly what's happening in front of us. And just to be clear here, the Besties had what was coming to them, as I'm sure you've seen in the newspapers.
Certainly a bunch of self-starters, huh?
But that same day was the day you shot at Flores. And while I found that very difficult to take in, and I was wondering if it was just a dream, I hadn't seen that anger coming from you ever.
You mentioned... What was it, the state of nations? Yes? Is that what the phrase was?
Perhaps, but I know what you're referring to.
Okay, thank you. Talking about leaders using difficult situations to galvanize their community against a common enemy. The state of San Andreas has never been an enemy. Something that I've always made a concerted effort to actively participate in, even when there are more community members who had a history of being more criminally inclined would think otherwise. Always wanted to make sure that we were a part of the greater community and government, working in tandem. Because the initiative of the community was to push towards a brighter future than the dark portents that hang over the city of Los Santos. The only enemy that I or we have ever considered, Director Knight, and this will come as no surprise to you, are the members and assets of the conglomerate terrorist group, the Faceless. And I dare say, anyone who claims that by us opposing the Faceless, we are opposing the government, well, that paints a very difficult picture for both of us, doesn't it?
Has anyone made that claim?
Certainly has been inferred quite a lot. Saying that our actions are treasonous against San Andreas is something that I find difficult to comprehend. And I like to think that I am someone who, while some people may find me delusional in the spiritual area, I like to think that I'm capable of logical and complete thought.
I think the actions towards the Faceless are very separate from the charges levied against yourself and others. I think taking up arms against a outside entity that is trying to destroy you is simply attempting to preserve your life. While it may not be legal or not something I would condone, I'm not going to be surprised if someone takes up a weapon when they have military aircrafts bombarding day in and day out. It looks like Paul Hammerstein may be available. Would you like him here?
Huh. If he is free, it would be delightful to have him here. It's not that I don't appreciate our conversation, but...
No, of course. Oh. Apparently no word from him yet.
Oh.
Okay. Would you like to continue this until he arrives? If he does.
I'd be happy to.
Okay. What's the resistance?
The resistance?
Mm-hmm.
Like the definition of the word, or...
No, I'm talking about the sign you put up at the VU.
I'm not quite clear on what you are speaking of. You might have me confused with someone else.
Sure. Should I pass over the photo of the sign you were putting up at the VU next to the two-door white and color vehicle while wearing a fox mask?
I would like to see a picture of the sign. Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Snow, can you bring the photo of the sign to the room? You see, Eliza, we've been following you for about 2 hours before the apprehension. We had individuals watching at the VU, prior to the VU, monitoring you as you and the two others made their way, the other one, other being Andy Coots, Apple, who showed up to pick you up, monitoring from the mayoral meeting to the swapping of plates in the two-door white and color vehicle to, I'm sure you noticed we didn't exactly do the best job after that event, as you went around in circles and had a UC unit following, and ultimately the decision was made over at El Rancho Boulevard to pull you over, to which turned into the whole chase. If
I may ask, why me?
You just happened to be... We had the most on you in the moment. Of course, we didn't know who it was behind the mask until afterwards. Down here in the cells. Mr. Hammerstein's on the way down.
Ah, indeed.
TiVo's not a thing? Oh, geez. I'm pushing 50.
Mr. Hammerstein.
Oh, hi there. Hello there.
Ah,
How you doing,
good day
Mr.
to you,
Hammerstein?
Mr. Hammerstein.
Doing pretty well. Doing pretty well. How you doing there, Ms. Dalton? Are they treating you okay there?
Absolutely, they have been exceedingly courteous.
Excellent. Okay, good. I don't see any wet towels and any jugs of water, so that's good. That's good to see.
No.
Good to see. Good to see.
I'm happy to say this on the record. I think I am uniquely blessed that it is Director Knight here questioning me. As I dare say that there are very few officers that I would trust my life and safety with.
I'll give you some privacy.
All right.
Oh, thank you there, Marshal Snow. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Hammerstein, I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here at 5:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you have a chance to talk to Eliza. But before I do, actually, just so you're aware, these charges are going to primarily be levied in relation to a series of HAG charges that are currently on Crim 100, in addition to the lack of bail, that was the denial of bail due to the related prison break, as noted by the Department of Justice.
Oh, jeepers. Oh.
Do you have any
Okay,
other
that's what-
questions for me before I pause the recording here and give you guys some privacy?
No, I think you have to pause the other. I can talk to
Okay.
my client here to get some more 411 from them as well. Then, so I could better work towards getting an amicable agreement between all of us. Yeah, that's.
You know, Paul, I think if anyone can give these guys a fighting chance, it's going to be you.
Really, you're not just saying that. You're not just saying that.
You're one of my favorite people in the world.
Oh shucks! Oh
Yep.
jeepers! Oh goodness!
All right. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here at 5:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right.
Thank you very much, Director.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. You didn't have to.
All right.
Say dead.
I cleared them out, sir.
Beautiful. All right. Is Nakota okay? Where is he?
She's
he
gonna
said-
check in with
he
Andy
just-
right
he
now,
said
make sure
it's
she doesn't need
claustrophobic.
anything.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Also, could you ask her to yell when she's
Wait.
talking?
Incoming 4 minutes. Oh. Well, that's scuffed. Oh, she wasn't yelling? Okay. Understood.
We could sort of hear, but not very
Yeah.
well.
I,
You did a very good job there, Brian.
yeah.
Rude.
Thank you. I think with the attorney there, we'll see how this kind of continues. There's always the one downside with having attorneys is sometimes they want to do all the talking, right? And I find that generally boring. I don't know how else to put it. Not because I want something, but you know, I like to hear the narrative, regardless of, you know, whether they're willing to admit anything or not.
Do I come with you?
No, is there any chance I could borrow a few units?
The latest dispatch.
What happened?
Naughty.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Just call out for some crow.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
Easy. Cool.
I'm gonna stay here if that's okay, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to help McAllister?
Yeah.
All right.
I still haven't processed everything that's just happened.
No, that was
I know.
I sort of played around in my mind whether to bring up the signage, but I think that was the important bit, right? And that sign is so fucking huge. I can't even, because it ties them. How do I put this? That whole shit sort of is going to get added to the docket. You know, and I get the whole February 18th situation, which I still maintain was God knows what the fuck that was, but that doesn't mean it's a justification for anything afterwards, right?
No.
So
They should. I mean, they won that bench trial. They should have gone after the police department and sued the fuck out of them. Really, that's what they should have done. But they believe in doing things a different way.
yeah. She is being very particular with trying to subvert the treason stuff on recording. I had to stop her from trying to mix together faceless defense with everything else, because the faceless have nothing to do with, you know, the 6 weeks prior to, you know, the raid.
Yeah. Hammerstein seems like an interesting guy.
One of the best.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we got fucking lawyers still. We're running out.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm. Oh shit! Where's Odessa?
What?
Kyber?
Did you just hire her today?
Wait, who?
No,
Is this
I
new
hired
cadet?
her 2 days ago. Yeah, new marshal. And I
Ooh.
wanted her involved in this to start kind of like picking up some things. She's looking into some corruption cases, but
Ooh.
it's been nonstop. As is every day.
Gotcha. Is this
Yeah.
Odessa like Odessa from years ago, Odessa, or a different
No,
Odessa?
fuck, no, it's not.
No,
I was
it's
gonna
not.
say.
Hell no.
I was gonna say.
Hell no. No, this is Odessa Kyber. She comes with good credentials from Liberty City.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Looking forward to meeting her then. But we're gonna be watching these motherfuckers from tomorrow too. As soon as that tsunami hits, we're getting up on that stupid rooftop
Hello.
again.
Hey, Odessa, you want to come down to Mission Row? I meant to grab you earlier,
Sure,
but
yeah.
it'd be good for you to listen in on some of these interrogations.
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Easy. See you in a bit.
All right, bye.
She has a lot of interest in financial crime and other areas that most people are allergic to.
Excellent.
So
Yes, I'm terrible at money stuff, so that's good.
Just so you know, I gave Andy Cooch food and water, and I also gave her a tablet, but the only thing on it was Yappy Bird. So
Okay.
I think she's just doing some Yappy Bird.
Andy's gonna be an interesting one. I think when Blunt comes on duty, the big question is gonna be, are we gonna add her to the docket? Because at base level, this is harboring a fugitive. However, when you combine that with the evidence in relation to Crim 100, that may it may be better off to actually mark her as a named actor, right?
Yeah, I mean that's up to you guys. You guys are the ones who's pieced it all together, so whatever you see fit. Can't believe how quick she pulled that fucking deagle out.
Oh, was it a revolver or a deagle?
Deagle.
Jesus.
Deagle.
Jesus Christ. Dale's gonna be pleased.
Mm. While we're have a second, could we rename this title to something better?
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah,
Or
just
just a
something
template.
that further, you know, something more. You can put
Creative.
your resistance tag on it and the New Babylon tag.
Okay.
In addition to that, let's have the title have their actual names.
Done. Doing it now. You said
Yep.
resistance tag on Babylon?
Yes. I made
Done.
the
Okay.
resistance tag. The Y is this resistance terror cell, which I have no problem calling it as such, given the nomenclature and the bombing and all that, is separate because while it may have spawned from New Babylon stuff, right? Everything's pointing at that direction. Separating it is important because, how do I put this? It's like a new chapter, right? It's a start of something fresh, and we can't necessarily pinpoint, is all of New Babylon in the Resistance, right?
Is that better? They'll refresh?
And have others that were never in New Babylon, will they join, right? We don't know where they're going with things just yet. Oh, that crowbar is huge. Very good. Very, very good. What books, any books of interest show up in these pouches?
I think the only books found were the dated stuff. I only found 2 notebooks requiring subpoena.
What about Andy? I think Maeve may have gone to
unknown.
sleep, right? Oh, she's around. Oh, there she is. Maeve, did you find any like interesting books that stood out?
Do you just want the pouches?
Sure.
Here's one.
Thank you. I'm gonna hand
One
these
of
back
them-
to you afterwards,
yeah,
by
one
the
of-
way.
Yeah, one of them is just full of chronicle stuffs. But there you go.
Yeah, I forgot to take a picture of it, but the book in her pocket is also a chronicle book.
Yeah, number 17. I already looked.
Oh, you got that? Okay, right, good.
Yeah, the one in Andy's pocket.
That was the only thing I forgot to do.
But I did.
Oh my god.
Where?
This is really good stuff. Holy fuck.
I'm writing up a subpoena for Andy, by the way.
Very good.
I'm doing the suspicion of what crime harboring a fugitive for now.
Brian, real quick, I didn't have a chance to say this earlier, and I didn't want to interrupt during all this. I spoke to Flores this morning, who got Mumbles' phone subpoena and basically confirmed that some of them are still using the same phones that they presumably bought the day after they were broken out originally. So the kind of notion that we came up with that, hey, as people are getting caught, they might be throwing their Sims and getting new ones as they stay on the run is not holding true necessarily to the people that we've gotten so far.
That is perfect.
Yeah, and I have talked to McAllister, so he's going to go through the arrest records and see who we have and haven't subpoenaed, and if they have not been subpoenaed and they're in custody, we're going to subpoena those numbers.
Very good. Maeve,
I'm
this
already doing Andy, so you can tick her off.
beautiful. I think we need to make it very clear that these extra pouches that you found, Maeve, were in our custody, but just were not cataloged. You get my meaning?
I don't know if you saw Brian, but they said they're ready in there.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand these back to you, and I'm probably going to take a deeper look. This is, oh my fucking God, this is so huge. I'm only taking a little light look at this. There's pouch 1. There's pouch 2. And this is more confirmation around Eliza. Like this is actually, oh, what the fuck? Oh, okay. I tossed it, I guess. And there's number 4. You have all 4 of them?
Make sure she's speaking up, Brian.
Yep, we'll do.
Yeah, Brian's going back in.
All right. Adissa, feel free to go in the observation room and just kind of.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, there.
Director.
Oh, the director tonight.
Hey. All right. I'm going to take a little seat here. All right.
Ooh, okay. Oh, I better not be the only one standing. I better sit too.
Yep. Okay. I'm going to go turn on the recording here. The recording is going to resume at 6:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just for the room, if everyone, if we could please yell, just to make sure the recording picks it up.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
I shall speak from my diaphragm.
All right. And
Sometimes I have a hard time controlling my own voice.
Mr. Hammerstein, could you please introduce yourself for the recording with your state ID?
Okay, absolutely. Paul Hammerstein, Esquire, not Junior, state ID 5041. An Esquire, of course, meaning that I'm an attorney.
Okay. And Eliza, are you retaining him for this interrogation?
Yes, I am.
All right, fantastic. Right. So we didn't get into too much detail there, Mr. Hammerstein. Obviously at the end of this, we're going to be sending Eliza to Bolingbrook. My intention for this is to kind of get a better understanding of events, right? Kind of at a personal level and investigative level. I feel like it's important to understand the historicity of February 18th, before, afterwards, the situations a month after, 2 months after, right? And where we're kind of landed at here today. Eliza, do you have any recollection of the day that vehicles were being dropped into New Babylon?
Ooh. Let me search my memory a little bit. It is a tad hazy, I must admit, but I will do my best to recollect what I can.
Understood.
I believe it was a trade day, which I suppose for the case of the recording, our community in New Babylon up in Stab City would hold days where we would, trade with anyone who wanted to come and ply our wares, sort of like a farmer's market. I think the trade day was going well so far. We had quite a lot of people. We had some members of New Babylon Records performing some of their new songs. One of them was a country rap. Not quite my genre, but I could tell that there was skill behind it. And there started to be shouts of concern from some of our patrons, pointing out that there were vehicles and boats being carried by cargo bobs being dropped on individuals and buildings. So we tried to do what we could to get people to retreat to cover and escort who we could out of the situation, because the idea of any innocent bystander getting hurt just because a gang took umbrage or took insult to something someone said is, well, anyone getting injured period is something that doesn't sit well with me, but even more so an innocent bystander. I remember myself, I tried and failed to take cover from the bombardments, but I know that as the day went on, they were getting more creative, and it's, if I recall correctly, the besties were also utilizing grenade launchers. So I'll have to say the entirety of my working memory of that day is not as succinct and tight as it would like to be, but I do recall that a lot of explosions, quite a bit of panic, some people trying to do what they could to disable the cargo bob, and I don't think they were even successful in that regard. I do remember that there were squad cars in the area, I imagine, monitoring the situation. And I do remember some individuals holding cameras and, well, grenade launchers speaking to some of these deputies. I remember they were specifically BCSO. It could have been negotiations, or it could have been, well, them letting law enforcement know that they were tapering down their operations. But that is all speculation on my part.
But what about after, when the PD began to move into New Babylon? And do you have any recollection as to the situation involving members of EMS outside the gates and Mr. Flores? Marshal Flores.
I do recall there was an issue of wanting to make sure that there was a safe place for triage to be performed. From what I understand, some gunfire broke out and some EMS were unfortunately in the line of gunfire, which is disturbing, to say the least. Especially for people who are charged to save people's lives. They should not themselves have their lives put in danger or endangered.
Do you recall
I think
any?
you and I can agree on that.
I would agree. Yeah. Do you recall the conversation that you had a bit of a speech, as I understand it?
I do remember going to the front gate and expressing my disgust and disappointment at the law enforcement officers that decided to treat us like fish in a barrel, as they have several times before. I did have a brief exchange with Marshal Flores, if I'm getting his title correct, where he insinuated that I was a brainwashed dog for Langbuda, which it is quite funny, isn't it, how people are so quick to avoid taking any responsibility for their own actions, right? Langbuda, he's an easy boogeyman. He's someone with a reputation that carries far wide and beyond anything that I even know, right? He has all these nicknames: Dark Lord, Marduk, etc., etc. I think it's... what a cheap get out of jail free card. To say, oh, you're only acting like this because of Langbuda, or oh, I'm only doing this because Langbuda made me do it. You know, people have agency. People can make their own decisions. And anyone who claims otherwise is, well, willingly painting themselves the fool, which, how embarrassing is that? To walk through your life not taking charge or responsibility or control of your own actions and blaming it on one let's just say it, senile old fucking man that can't walk 10 steps without complaining about something. Anyone who thinks that he is in charge of anything is lost. And it is deeply unfortunate that some of your marshals and some of the officers that you are stuck working with seem to think so.
Are you claiming New Babylon is not Lang Buddha's brainchild?
Absolutely not.
Then whose brainchild is it?
I mean, the whole conceit of Babylon is that it is a group project, yes? A bunch of individuals coming together to form a community based off of self-sustained living.
From a philosophical perspective, I could understand, agree with some of that. However, even in your own words, he is the Marduk. Or the Grand
It's
Marduk.
just a title. I mean, Finley Schmidt was the mayor. What the fuck did she do? Sorry, not to be dismissive and rude in that manner, but just because you have the title doesn't mean you are well befitted to it.
Mm. Are you claiming that, are you suggesting that Lang Buddha had equal power to the other Babylonians?
I suppose that's a way to phrase it.
So, if, hypothetically, if Mr. Benji Ramos decided that there needed to be change in New Babylon, he could do so, and had an equal voice as Lang Buddha.
Of course, yes. I mean,
Eliza.
sometimes people would bring up a dumbass idea, you forgive my language, and we would collectively decide that is a dumbass idea, we're not doing that. Like, someone tried to suggest building or digging trenches so that we could grow cherry tomatoes, but the land doesn't even support it. There's not enough nitrates in the soil. It's rather laughable. I mean, do you think we're going to sit there and just because someone says an idea like, oh, let's grow cherry tomatoes in, you know, fucking Stab City where we're adjacent to a mostly polluted lake and a desert? No, we're not just going to go with an idea just because someone says it. Sorry, I'm still a little heated about the cherry tomato thing. It's just, you don't even know anything about fucking agriculture. Why would you want to grow tomatoes in Stab City? My apologies. I digress. I've gotten off the point.
So what was the role of the Marduk?
I would say, I think leader is probably the best fitting term. But leader more in a... I'm trying to think of the right way to describe this. Not in a despotic, like, you know, dictatorial sense. Some people lead by holding tight an iron fist and shouting orders, and those people follow. Other leaders act as, you know, a facilitator, right?
Would it be more accurate to say that the collective of Marduks and the regent were the primary orchestrators of New Babylon?
That's actually a really good question. Orchestrators as in like the people who ran day-to-day operations, or like the creators and builders?
Builders have their place, of course, in any sort of society, but leaders direct, right? They have a vision. They set that vision forward, and those either subscribe to the vision and help build, but there tends to be those that set the direction as well, right? So when you say the Marduk is a leader, would it be accurate to state that they set the tone, the vision, the direction for the week, for the month?
Are you talking more? I want to make sure I answer this correctly. Are you talking more in like a philosophical sense or in a like day-to-day pragmatic sort of sense? I mean, yeah, if we need people to be, tending to vegetables, sometimes you do need a person to be like, hey, we need to make sure that we have clean water to drink. Hey, we got to make sure that we have ample food to eat that isn't going to poison us. Like, it is, of course, useful to have those positions. Yes, in that that regard, yes.
Understood. There's an application process with you, Babylon. Did you partake in that?
I did indeed, yes.
And what was the... There was a series of quizzes that came alongside it, ensuring that individuals that were applying had enough of a background as to the founding of New Babylon and its day-to-day functions.
Mm-hmm.
What was the... Would one have to pass the exam in order to be qualified to enter?
Exam?
Mm-hmm.
That was not a part of the application process at all.
Oh, it was separate.
At least as far as I know.
Okay. Do you mind enlightening me?
Well, with the application process, it was more to make sure that we were welcoming people into our community who weren't going to use it as a way to... How do I phrase this? To basically fuck around and have something to blame it on. Or people who wanted to say, oh, I'm a part of this community, I'm leaving everything behind, therefore I'm not culpable to any responsibilities that I previously held, which, quotation marks, I. And unfortunately, there were some individuals who we later found out had outstanding legal obligations that we really tried to push to take care of those first.
Mm.
Because we really wanted to make sure that we were doing everything above board, right? Because sometimes it can be all too easy for people who are ill-intended to enter a community, right, like this, where we eschew modern amenities and use it for their own personal benefit, gain, or bastardization.
And then what about the exams? Where did they then come in?
That is a very good question. I actually don't know.
I believe they were issued by Lang primarily.
I'm trying to search my memory because I know we did a... It wasn't exactly a book club. But I remember we had like a quiz that we did on some of the short stories. Is that what you're referencing?
It had questions like, who's the leader of the militia?
Oh,
Who was the leader, Eliza, of the militia? Who ran
the
it?
militia?
Hmm.
I don't think there was a leader.
It wasn't Luciano DiCenzo.
Sorry, absolutely not.
Hmm.
My apologies. That was sincerely rude. Absolutely not. No.
Why then are most of the tapes referencing, most of the exams very much referencing Luciano, as well as, just for reference here, Eliza, I and some of the other detectives have read through 18,000 pages across about 8,600 books and notebooks. Some of which are duplicates, many of which are dated. Some
Life Invader book club people just foaming at the mouth hearing about that. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I was we actually photocopied each and every single one and built a tool to be able to readily go through all the material. Give me just 1 second. I believe, in fact, we generated a PDF file that has all the contents of it. Give me 1 second.
Well, together we're looking after the environment. We're not, that would be a lot of trees you guys would have had to cut down if you guys made that many copies.
I'll have to say lumbering was something we had to stick to a lot, especially with the amount of renovations we had to do.
So, okay. Okay, so you're unaware of any militia?
I know we have people who acted as security.
I got you. And who ran the security?
It wasn't really run by anyone. Just more who volunteered to make sure that any of our visitors at trade days stay safe.
Understood. And who is in this security team?
It would rotate.
I see. Earlier I mentioned an exam. I actually looked up the particulars. It was called the, can you hear me still?
Yes, I can indeed.
Perfect. It was called the Babylonian Citizenship Exam. In fact, I've got one here pulled up for Andy Coots. The new Babylon Citizen test is a written exam consisting of 20 questions. You may not use your phone during the exam. You may not use any literature during the exam. You may ask other Babylonians. You may not ask other Babylonians nor outsiders for help during this exam, etc., etc. In fact, the first question is, what is Eliza's role in New Babylon? Provide an example. And it says Eliza is the regent of New Babylon during times of friction and confrontation with police. She's the one that communicates with them on New Babylon's behalf. As I go further down here, let's see if it... who are the leaders of the militia? Lang and Luciano are the leaders. And mind you, a number of individuals whom had these exams on their person, as well as a collection of exams, all give that sort of answer. Some name Luciano outright, but in some it names them both or one or the other. And this actually coincides with some of the other interviews we had with folks in which Luciano was the leader, but Lang would come around and say, you're a fucking dumbass, and then take it away from him, kick him in the ass, and then run it for a bit, and then give it back to Luciano, and that it was kind of like some sort of like rotating thing. Are you aware of any of this?
I'm definitely aware of Lang calling people dumbass. That is characteristic to what he does at times.
Yeah.
I don't want to paint him as a complete monster. He is capable of empathy and understanding and reasoning, but he holds people to high standards.
I got you. What was the blacksmith?
Blacksmith?
Yep.
Oh, Chrome. That is where we basically had all of our vehicles built.
No, next to that. You know, the day of the raid, there was the orders were posted up on the next to Chrome, next to the furnace, with the, I think, 35 some odd weapons that coincided with another 24 weapons that were dumped in the water, that had some partial fingerprints that were rather fresh, the blueprints that were up on that, manufacturing table, 4 weapons, a tag that mentioned for Speedy in the corner, that blacksmith. It's also on the map on New Babylon. Give me a second. I can refresh your memory a little bit more too. Give me just a sec.
Please do. I'll be perfectly honest. I thought Chrome and the blacksmith were one and the same, interchangeable names.
I got you. What about the trailers? They're under your name.
Yes, indeed.
What was the little section across from the bank?
That one, I believe that is that was utilized as a storage space.
The one riddled with guns with a little dispenser table in the front?
That I'm not quite so familiar with.
Okay. So you know which building I'm referencing, right? Where the bank was?
The bank, yes, indeed.
So when you
It's the one with the wood. Well, I guess they all have wood paneling, but there was a like a bunch of safes in one corner. Oh wait, that could also be the storage building as well. I know which one you're talking about. The one that's adjacent to Chrome.
Yeah, exactly. It's to the south. So when you go in, to the left is the bank, and to the right, through the, visible kind of gated booth and the door, you can see a bunch of gun racks.
I know this will sound incredibly irresponsible as a professed homeowner, but I didn't frequent that building so much.
I see. Okay. Right. But you did go to the bank, right?
I did, yes. Well, I wouldn't usually just, go outside the door, ping someone and be like, hey, I need some Babylari so that I can get some food from Ratatouille.
I got you. Are you aware that weapons were manufactured in New Babylon?
No.
Okay. Interesting. Are you aware spice was manufactured in New Babylon?
No. Wait, isn't that like the thing that the worms poop out?
Ejaculate, yes.
Of course. I'll have to. It's foolish of me to even say that to one of the foremost experts on the subject. My apologies. I nearly forgot.
Are you aware of the sandworms that were seized from New Babylon from the lab?
No, I'm actually not aware of that.
Are you aware that we seized a device used for processing the sandworm ejaculate into spice?
No.
Are you aware of the weapon blueprints that we seized?
No, I am
from
not.
your buildings? Yeah, they were in your buildings.
Huh.
They have Lang Buddha on it. They're actually pretty nice.
I can honestly say I am hopefully ignorant on that.
Yep. For example, we have one here I'm looking at called the Double Action Revolver Blueprint. And it says designed by Lang Buddha on it. This was found, give me a second. This was found in the storage facility. It takes 50 metal offcuts, 100 copper, 50 circuit boards, 150 steel tubes, 400 recycled plastic.
I can honestly say this is news to me.
Yeah.
You said Lang's name was on that?
Yeah. It says designed by Lang Buddha.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that is certainly news to me.
Okay.
Maybe is there another brand name called Lang Buddha that's completely separate? Is there a chance of it?
Given the series of weapons that we found in relation to the blueprints, in relation to the order that was plastered on the weapons bench, in relation to the dozens of weapons found next to it, in relation to the series of documents that indicate gun sales to a numerous number of in specificity, as well as a list of all the guns that were manufactured by AC, by Speedy, sold by individuals like Benji, who also had a series of weapons in his vehicle parked at New Babylon. And you mentioned Trade Day.
Indeed.
In the back of the Trade Day hangar, what was that set of stairs?
Are you talking about the section where the skeleton crew sold their boats?
No, you go into the hangar and you go up the ladder and then back down the ladder.
That I am not familiar with. I never went
I see.
back there.
Right. So no one told you guns were sold in the back?
I can truthfully say I did not know that was going on.
Eliza, with all these things that you're seemingly unaware of taking place in New Babylon, how were you unaware when you and Lang were the primary property holders?
I'll have to admit I was primarily engrossed in more working on my archaeological stuff, working on events like the Jousting League, and working on I guess spiritual exploration, diving to the histories of old Babylon and learning about entities like the Scorch Lord or Calypso that were celebrated by the pirates. I really did engross myself in my studies. That is primarily where my focus was on when I wasn't being the designated yapper, as some would say.
I see. Okay. So you were not aware of the weapon sales that took place within New Babylon?
No, I didn't know that was going on.
What about the spice? Was that consumed in New Babylon?
No, not as far as I know.
Was it produced in New Babylon?
I don't see how, because it's the desert worms, yes?
Eliza, I was at the Liquid Library when y'all had your little call center.
I was not present on that day.
There was about 20 plus individuals there. I was undercover walking around, making note of the various individuals, making note of the various sales numbers that were marked up. In fact, shortly thereafter, spice became made illegal. I'm very aware of the spice train, who ran it, the drop-offs that were made for groups to pick up. But seemingly, I'm aware of these things, but you were seemingly unaware.
I can say with full honesty, and I'm certain if you reconsider your notes or any photographs that you may have taken that day at this supposed event, I know for a fact I was not present or aware of any of that going on.
And I can believe you on that, but rather all these Babylonians not only indulged in spice, found with spice. In fact, you had spice in your possession at the time of the arrest post-raid. Somehow you know nothing of it. I'm sure you understand how that looks from my position.
I can understand that. Trying to recall. I've never partaken in any. And you're saying there was spice found on my person?
It was part of the list of charges I brought up. Give me a second.
Okay. Curious.
Eliza, Stellano, this is the PC one. Here we go. Yes. Yep, you had spice on your person.
I will have to say I'm a little confused about that, but...
You also had 2 illegal blueprints on your person.
Which report would that be under, or would they be on?
Crim 100.
Okay, but as far as like, is there a report that has the evidence of the
Somewhere
spice on her person?
somewhere in Crim 100. So if you pull up that docket, you're going to see all the attached reports.
Oh yeah, I see him. And oh boy, is there a buttload.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, we've been looking into this for quite some time. We spent about a week and a half collating all the charges as well as dicing up each action of probable cause. Note that this is preliminary and some of these things may be upgraded depending on where things go. So let's go to the next bit. Why'd you put up a sign reading Vive la Resistance?
I did no such thing.
Okay. Let me slide this across the desk. Give me a second here. Paul, Eliza, could you I'm going to go ahead and slide this image across the desk here.
Oh, yeah, that's...
I can read that the penmanship isn't particularly good, but it does say Vive la Resistance?
Well, is it in... Maybe I can't read it that well. Is it in all caps? Like, do you have to yell it? Or is it like... You sound like you kind of say it soft spoken.
Oh, like a Vive la Resistance! Like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Sorry, the writing's so messy, I can't quite... But that seems to be what it says.
Okay.
I must claim that I am not... I'm somewhat familiar with this. I did see the, what was it, 2003 or whatever, South Park film. It was a movie musical where there was a character that shouted that.
Pass over a second photo across the desk. And there's a dozen more of these. You'll see I chose this particular one because it captures the vehicle. We were also tracking the one that you were sat in the passenger seat of.
I have to admit, I am not
How
familiar.
well do you know the consortium?
Consortium?
Yeah. Individual whose vehicle that belongs to. Cuddles. Mr. She loves passing her bike around. Not sure why. Dante, Rivers. Hey, folks on the other side of the window, could you text me what was the name of this one? Today it was, who was it? Today was, let me see. Not Zeke, that was the two-door black and color vehicle. Today was, Charles Matthews.
2 first names?
Can't say. Member of the consortium. He's got 2 properties, actually.
I am not familiar with the consortium, but I am
Mhm.
familiar with Dante Rivers.
Yeah.
I think there is a name Echo that you might be familiar with, perhaps.
Hmm.
Sold him up the river so that he could get a free pass from the Faceless.
Free pass from the Faceless?
Oh, absolutely. You know how pliable people are when they're given opportunities. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're someone strutting and trying to make your name on the streets of Grove or a government official gunning for a Senate seat. There's very few people that are willing to refuse an offer once it is given them, and, well, Dante is one that didn't refuse. So, yeah, I'm all too familiar with Dante Rivers, but I'm not familiar with the consortium.
Do you mind if I play something for you?
Not at all.
You're mistaking silence for weakness. But silence is what comes before something changes forever. Soon enough you'll understand what this city's becoming. A place where no one feels safe anymore, not even the people carrying a badge. And it starts from the top. The mayor is useless in actions, speaking in promises she can't enforce while the department beneath her openly waits for her to fail. They don't respect her anymore. Maybe they never did.
She's doing a poor job at even being a mouthpiece. Here from office. Guys, I will leave on one last sentence. The mayor did not win by majority vote, and I think that's blatantly obvious as to why.
Think about how rotten a government has to become for its own allies to stop defending it. Every faction inside law enforcement fighting for influence while pretending it's about public safety. These are the people stopping civilians demanding digital ID before they're allowed to continue home. These are the people questioning citizens for buying scuba gear as if oxygen tanks are evidence of terrorism. The same people IDing individuals as they come into the hospital. These are the people standing in front of cameras claiming they'll restore order when they can't even put the time and effort into solving their own cases.
I'm gonna start using AI for casework. No one can stop me now. I am. I'm gonna solve an entire case through AI. I will solve an entire case with artificial intelligence.
Now they want artificial intelligence solving criminal cases. Not detectives, not with evidence, but with AI. And we as the public watch all of it happen. The infighting, the ego, the corruption. One side blaming the other while the city burns. And somehow these are the people demanding trust. To those still on the run, you are proof they are not untouchable. Because every day you survive forces them to reveal more of themselves. The resistance was never about winning quickly. It was about enduring long enough for the mask to slip. And now everyone can see the face underneath. People addicted to authority, creating new departments and attempting to reestablish themselves every time the reputation becomes too rotten to hide. Rebranding themselves like gangs wearing government colors. And somehow the city is expected to call that order. The mayor is losing control. The PD is in shambles. And while the city drowns in sirens and corruption, something dangerous is waking up in the people they thought fear would silence. Keep the signal alive. You've mistaken silence for weakness. But silence is what comes before something changes forever.
sound familiar?
Not that recording specifically, but I've heard some of those sentiments espoused.
So when does your mask come off, Eliza?
My mask?
The one you began to wear a couple weeks ago.
I'm not quite certain what you are referencing.
I think you do.
I will say the contents of that broadcast is concerning. I know that there's darker sentiments about the government and some members of law enforcement. I know I myself have voiced my some issues about my concerns about faceless assets amongst members of law enforcement and in the government. But I also understand the vital role that these public servants play. While yes, there are, especially from this recording, it sounds like there are some officers that are all too eager to levy their position, to topple the mayor. Wow, that's not treason? It really puts a stain on the names of those that actually give a fuck about those of us that are trying to live and survive in this rotten fucking hellhole that has sold itself to a bunch of real estate agents. You, Ruby York, and Octo, and V. Gray are probably the 4 officers that I can name that have treated me like a fucking human being. Ever. Ever. And I know I have consorted myself with a community that has found itself in this unfortunate situation. But I still stand by the sanctity of what law and order ought to be. And it's awful that we are in this position where there is so much doubt and paranoia being spread around. I mean, recordings like fucking this? What is that going to accomplish? It's only going to make more innocent people die. It's going to make jobs for people like you, presumably, hopefully, that actually give a fuck and want to change and want to fix what the fuck is going on. I do not sit well with being associated with whatever the fuck that recording was. My apologies. What mask? I have been painfully honest, to the detriment of people thinking that I'm a sane, capable person. The only mask I've worn is a smile of politeness while I've taken shit. While I've had my life threatened. While I've been told by officers that are under your own purview that my life isn't worth living or saving because I'm some brainwashed freak. Well, fucking excuse me that I think people ought to be able to live outside of the yoke of constantly grinding for drugs. Or having to lick boots in order to get any sort of respect around here. Just because I'm a little strange and a little eccentric doesn't mean I'm wearing a mask. Forgive me, Director Knight, that is not directed at you.
The reason I referenced the mask is because I think you know exactly who is behind these broadcasts. Not just because of the signage that we witnessed you place up. The same signage referenced in this very broadcast. But because of the DNA found in the relay station yesterday, where this broadcast was sent. The references to individuals on the run. The reference to the digital ID. The reference to the mayor the one that our department recently placed warrants on, shortly after she decided to get on a plane and flee the county and the state. And while you may not be agreeable entirely for the message, and while you may try to paint some doubt in this back and forth conversation, everything points as you being aware and somewhat involved.
You said there was DNA found at a relay station?
Correct.
Well, I can confidently say that my DNA wasn't there.
No. But let me paint you the picture. Lang Buddha, Marduk. Transmission. Coming from a property broken into, property where Alfonso Sebastian was previously in. Photos of Sebastian up on the wall, littered with blood, and 2 Babylonians whom Alfonso believes were speaking to law enforcement. He told me he was going to kill them. A couple days later, whilst he's rotting in prison, the very same 2 portraits sat there on the table with radio equipment, with Lang Buddha's fingerprints on them. It's hard for me to believe the signage you posted today. Same signage that was posted up yesterday leading up to the broadcast is just a coincidence. And I'm by no means expecting you to be fully honest. I know there's a lot of charges levied against you and the charges that are likely to come forth from whatever the hell else is going on. But when I reference a mask, that is the mask I am referencing.
It's a little ironic, isn't it? I don't wear a mask. My face is fully out there. I'm pretty plain, loud, and obnoxious about the things that I believe and I do. And especially ironic that I used to push so hard for lifer rights, and now I'm poised to become one. Upon my first, well, I suppose, second here arrest. Whereas Faceless and their assets and people who actually mean this state ill will, who have actively worked towards the harm and damage of its citizenry and the dismantlement of its government and structures, get a slap on the wrist, a 30, 20-day hold. It's absurd. It really is absurd.
How much, and I've heard this comparison drawn many, many times before, where the grunts that show up to assist the Faceless in exchange for weapons, that why does nothing happen to them? As we have Mr. Ramos, who is absolutely rinsed of all his assets. Now, right before he joined New Babylon, I'm sure he's told you some stories. And some of those individuals with markings of being marked as enemies of the state that draw into question what their future would look like if law enforcement got their hands on them. You're not wrong that the Faceless are certainly a much more dangerous adversary, not just to y'all, but the greater part of the state. But none of that necessitates that the actions taken by members of New Babylon, a selection of them, it doesn't justify those actions one bit.
I can agree with that, right? Simply saying, oh, well, someone did this, therefore anything I'm accused of is a free pass. That is not what I'm saying. I am guilt-free. I am not guilty of anything that has been levied against me, regardless of how the words are twisted and the portrait is painted. I'm not guilty of treason. I'm not guilty of anything that has been levied against me.
Are you aware of constructive possession? What that entails?
Could you define that for me, please?
Absolutely. If I owned a property, and within that property, individuals within it were actively using it as a place to murder, torture individuals, and I claimed absolute innocence to the direct activities. The sheer fact that my property was utilized makes me liable for those criminal charges.
Okay, I did not know about that.
I'm actually very surprised that the properties were put under your name. If I'm going to be quite honest, I think it was a form of control. Whether you choose to believe it or not, because I do believe, Eliza, unlike many other individuals in San Andreas, you're not a sheep. But that doesn't mean that there aren't individuals in San Andreas that know how to control even those that may seem uncontrollable.
In what way, if I may ask?
If I had an individual in my community and I needed them to remain protected, and I knew full well the activities that were taking place inside, I would not. The first thing I would do is not give them ownership of the damn properties to begin with.
I get what you mean.
You had a bunch of faceless books on your possession.
I did?
Mm-hmm. In your pouch.
What was the nature of these books?
I'd have to look into the particulars. We were just looking through them just now before I walked in here.
If, I know there's one in particular that, I believe you and I have spoken about in the past.
Mm. Old book. Now, that is a case where when I look at it, I know realistically you're not involved. I know you never would be involved, right? So regardless of it being in your possession, it would not be something we would pursue, obviously. Eliza, do you have any knowledge over this broadcast?
The one you just played for me.
Mm.
I do not.
What about the ones that came before it?
This is the first I've heard of it.
Of any of the broadcasts?
You know, like NBR did a radio broadcast with one of their songs entitled, I believe, Fuck the Marshals.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Oh, the subject matter, unfortunately, is not so kind to you all, but it is a certified bop, I must say.
I'd love to listen to it.
Mm.
So what about the first two broadcasts, Eliza?
I actually don't know what you're referencing.
All right. So was it a coincidence today? Putting up the signage of Viva la Resistance?
That was not me.
When's the last time you've seen Lang Buddha?
Probably, oh God, probably prison.
Are you really in control?
In control of what? Myself? My surroundings? Absolutely the fuck not. I'm a wanted fugitive from the state.
Yeah.
For crimes that I legitimately believe I am innocent of.
So why break out?
If you knew the sword of Damocles was hanging over your head, would you not try to leave the table?
I would pursue obtaining a lawyer. I would utilize
Respect to Mr. Hammerstein, Esquire, here, where I know you are quite accomplished in your skills, but Director Knight, in the past when my life has been under threat, I have been left very much to my own devices. And I've learned that I cannot politic or polite my way out of someone wanting me dead.
But you would have had an opportunity to be let out on bail.
Or be a fish in the barrel in the prison so that any of the red masks can swoop in and snipe me out because I had the audacity to give up a building, or because I harmed a fake Epsilonist's ego, or because a serial killer was slighted because I wouldn't say I love you back, or because one of the lifers in the prison blames me for his brother's death. Now, I agree with you. In an ideal universe, right, in a perfect, beautiful, pristine utopia where the law is just for all, equitable, getting a lawyer, serving my time, that would be the way to go about it. The fair isn't fair for everyone.
You're very good at misdirecting from the question.
I think I answered your question quite plainly.
I think
I ran because I didn't want to fucking die, Mr. Director. All due respect.
With 33 individuals in New Babylon.
You think I trust all of them?
I think you trust them enough to allow them to operate out within your property for the very many few months. So yes.
Let me rephrase it. Not that I wouldn't sit at a table and share bread with them, but when the knife is put to your chest, you don't know who is of stern enough spirit to help defend you, or who would be seized by fear and stand idly by.
I could
I
understand
in
that.
a legal, from a legal standpoint, I do concede right? This isn't the logical thing to do. But to answer your question, I am very much not in control. I have not been in control of my life for the better part of a month.
Who's been making the decisions for you?
My own id, I suppose.
That's still control. You still get to make choices.
You do make a good point there.
Do you know how often I have to deal with these powers, let's call them? Probably 6 times a day.
Probably an obnoxious amount, I imagine, with your position.
And for many people in the city, they also have to deal with these, whether it's Lagara buzzards in the air, moving drugs and guns, whether it's the Faceless doing another bombing or assassination, or whether they're deciding to hunt down Babylonians who seemingly are turning into something else. And very similar to when we capture one of them, they too will sometimes note that they're doing things out of desperation because there is no choice, but it makes it very difficult for me to fully buy into the sentiment because it infers other choices, some of which are obvious, coming to law enforcement is completely off the table. And y'all went a couple weeks, maybe 2 months without the Faceless touching you. I have some understanding as to why. It's not something I'm going to speak on this recording. I'm very intimately aware of some of the backdoor dealings that have been taking place out on a little tugboat. While I don't know the specifics of what those deals look like, or even if you're aware of them, the point I am drawing here is, when is the last time someone with a red mask came after you? Because from where I'm sitting, those around me are the ones who have been suffering. And just a few days back, those behind this broadcast blew up 4 of my law enforcement officers, one of which almost lost their life. And when I look at them, I have to ask myself why. Because while this very institute has its issues, and I promise you I'm probably one of the most vocal in that respect, when this institute consists of individuals trying their best to bring some sanity back to San Andreas are being targeted, it's hard to believe that those things are simply because we have no other choice. Eliza, I know we've been here for a minute now, and I would love to continue this conversation perhaps in the future. Andy Coots is in the other room. I need to have a bit of a chat with her. I will say the following. I know that you have not been fully truthful in this conversation. I think philosophically, I think I'm understanding what you're putting down. I understand that some of the actions that you took over the last couple months, I believe some of them are truly under desperation, or perhaps a consequence of some of the things that occurred in the past. However, for me to be fully on board, I need to ensure a little bit more honesty the next time we meet. Because unfortunately, claiming ignorance is makes it very difficult to parse the truth from the fiction.
That is understandable. I am sorry I gave you such an impression.
You don't have to apologize. I imagine you haven't been across the table for me in this sort of setting very often. I do think that there's a lot of individuals that signed up for things that they did not fully back. It's one of the reasons why I've been rather lenient when it comes to some folks who have taken plea deals. I think when you give everything up and you sign up for a community and very shortly afterwards begin or handed a weapon, you can leave, but can you really when you own nothing? When your entire life is now set in New Babylon? All of a sudden, control can start to slip.
Anyone that has given you that impression that one is trapped in such a lifestyle, that one is handed a weapon right away, is being grotesquely misleading. It's probably not fair for me to speak for everyone. Every single day, people are reduced to nothing and are able to grow, learn, and build from it. It's dependent on the individual. But I understand where you're coming from. But
not every
some aspect
army.
of personal, some aspect of personal responsibility has to come in at some point. Yes.
No. I think there are lines. I think there are things that are set in design, and I think just as most armies go to battle not knowing the why, I think there are a lot of soldiers and bakers and builders that were only doing what they thought was best, not knowing what the fuller system being put together was intended for. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here at 7:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. All right. Well, Eliza, I go ahead and if you don't mind passing that photo back over this way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here you
go. For the record, look, Eliza, I didn't expect. I appreciate the conversation. There are many aspects of these charges I would love to learn more about. But like I said, we have a lot more evidence than you may realize, and for me, ignorance on something as simple as the spice being in New Babylon makes it very difficult to weigh the statements in regards to treason. Does that make sense?
I believe I follow what you're saying.
Right. Okay. Mr. Hammerstein, any questions for me? We do need to get her processed and move down to Bolingbrook.
I can't think of too much there. I guess.
Okay.
I will say, that. Well, this photo does kind of just show somebody like a mask there. I'm not really sure. And all this other stuff with his car and whatnot that you were mentioning before there.
I fully plan to seize every vehicle and house that is constructively utilized for the harboring of fugitives. I know it's not something that's been done in the past, but you have to understand there's nothing legal there's nothing if you're constructively using a property or a vehicle for the utilization of harboring a fugitive, that asset is subject for seizure. So I have full plans to relate the series of keys that we got under custody, seeing their belongings, etc., etc. Now, whether we choose to do that this time around, we'll see. But I did provide that warning to... Who did I provide that warning to? Oh, I told Dante Rivers this the other day after we arrested him. That if I continue to see Cuddles in his vehicle being utilized for 50% of the chases, don't be surprised if I lock his properties down and start taking his vehicles, right? So.
Oh, jeepers. Okay, all right. Well, that's this is just kind of a side note question, but for sandworms, those aren't like an endangered species list, are they? Or not listed on there, I don't think, right?
They're native to sandy shores. These particular ones are clones.
Did you say clone or chrome?
Clone,
like shiny
clone.
or like...
No, clone.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And they're ejaculated in order to take that ejaculate and process it into spice.
Oh, jeepers, yeah, good to know. Good to know. I will hold off on camping trips there for a bit. It's Sandy. I think that's it for questions for you, I think, there.
Okay.
I might just...
Is that all your questions? Just about the worm ejaculate, or?
Well, it wasn't about the worm ejaculate, about the worms and their endangered status. You're the one that brought up the ejaculate, okay? I brought up the worms. Wriggly, big, thick, girthy worms. They are big and girthy, right?
It depends on their maturity level.
Oh, that's fair. That is fair. That is... I'm no Steve Irwin, R.I.P. But I'm not fully encumbered with information on all kinds of wildlife.
Okay.
So as far as the other charge, so the main charge today was like this supposed vandalism, but is this also because
the charges
of the denial
today,
of bail and...
The charges today are going to be added to the charges today are going to be added to the docket. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so,
but it went from like vandalism, being involved with the so we had the plates before and after. The plates were swapped. The resisting, etc., right? Possession of a Class 1 firearm.
Oh goodness! Oh, okay. I didn't know anything about the firearm there. Okay, all right. Oh,
I don't think the worry is. I would have. I don't know how to say this to you, Paul. I imagine, Eliza, you probably don't give a fuck about possession of a Class 1 firearm in relation to...
There are certainly heftier dishes at this buffet. Yes.
Yeah. She's facing life in prison. Mr. Hammerstein.
Of course. So that is certainly a mountain that is foreboding itself on the horizon. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably have a million questions, but they're all just kind of like trying to go through the door at the same time. And like you can't all fit through that door because they're some of those questions are meaty. You know, if they got that much meat trying to get through the door at once, you know, it's not going to move so good.
Yeah.
I'm like myself there. I'm a rather portly fellow. The top button of my suit is always fighting for its life, so doorways are a challenge for me even sometimes, just by my lonesome.
I understand. Okay. All right. Eliza, we're going to get you processed. We're going to get you up to, would you like a transport or local DOC? Up to you.
You know what? A transport would be nice. It'd be nice to get a little glimpse of the outside.
Absolutely. All right. Just hang tight for me. We're going to get you moved up there. And then we're going to talk to Andy and we'll get her moved up as well. Mr. Hammerstein, are you representing Andy Coots?
I just got called here because I'm being requested, so I'm not 100% sure that.
Okay.
Would I be conflicted by representing them or no?
I, as a member of law enforcement, cannot come to that determination. You are a bar certified attorney, and therefore that is something you must determine on your own accord.
I guess is this for the same kind of thing then, right? This is for.
She doesn't have a active warrant, but just rather transparently, we're probably going to motion to add her as well.
Well, I guess the conflict would come down to my client there. I'll speak to my client here or there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you guys a second, and then we'll be right back. All right?
Yeah. Sounds good.
One last thing, Brian.
Yes, absolutely.
One last thing. I hope you know, regardless of the positions that we are in at present and some of the heated energies that are surrounding the situation that brought us here, I hope you know I never will regret donating that blood.
I appreciate that. I'm not look,
that's not to sway you in any direction. I just felt like it's important to let you know.
I appreciate that, and I really do. And between us, as bad as this case may look, this is not my. There are greater enemies out there. And I think my biggest regret is that we were not able to work closer, New Babylon and law enforcement, to tackle that greater enemy. But I do promise you there are likely things that you have not been made privy to. So even some of the statements that I have made, while I know that you may be a bit elusive to them, there are things that have been taking place with the Faceless that may change some of your perspective. And I'll leave you on one other thing. Maybe another time. No offense, Paul.
Oh, okay.
We'll chat soon. I'm go arrange the transport.
Of course. Thank you, Director.
Okay. Do you guys have any food or drink?